Hey my friends, Rona here. If this is your first time joining me, welcome. And if you're returning, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you. So in today's video, I am going to be working with these, or I should say this canvas bag that I found at the Dollar Tree. Now, these were $1.50 Canadian. And I picked up 8 of them because I'm going to be using them in my linen cupboard to sort some of my things like Band-Aids and extra toothbrushes, and they'll all go inside of a basket. So when I finish all of these, I will show you what they all look like, and also inside of the basket and the cupboard as well. So why I picked these up is because they have a really nice natural color to them and a natural feel as well. So if you're this is your first time joining me, then you wouldn't have heard me say this before, but those of you who are returning, you know that I like natural products. I like things that are made out of natural fibers and natural textures, but I don't shy away from vibrant color either. So far in my videos, I've done things that have been pretty sort of, I guess, neutral looking and natural looking as well, but you know, I used to decorate boho style, like with a really wild color, and I've toned things down a little bit, but in today's video, I'm going to be using something that's still kind of toned down, but still, how do I describe it? I'll let you decide. So I'll be using for this project this beautiful trim. So I love working with different trims, and I do not shy away from going into ethnic stores. So my dad's side of the family is actually Hindu, and so I visited a shop that sells sari trims to find this, and I absolutely loved it. You can see it has like some rhinestones that are clustered together, kind of like a bunch of grapes, and then some others in between that look like raindrops. But this looks kind of like a crown. It's just so pretty. I couldn't resist it. So that's what I'll be using today. And I'll also be using these mother of pearl buttons as well. So this will go with the rest of my decor. And again, if you're new to my channel, I'm pretty much obsessed with mother of pearl buttons. So this is what I'll be using as well in this project. So you'll need some scissors, some trim, buttons, or any other sort of embellishments that you like. You can use charms, you can use pretty much anything, and you'll need your glue gun. So let me show you some other trims that I have. I have other ones in silver, like this one is a different pattern. That's pretty as well. And I have this one's a bit more boho style. So there we go. So just anything that would fit kind of like in that space. I'd probably, if I was going to use this, I would probably use the round piece right in the center, so it would end up looking like this by the time I cut the trim. My gosh, that's so pretty. And I also have this. I contemplated using this at first. This is actually what caught my eye in the very beginning, this particular trim, because of the dark gray and the gold as well. So I actually thought I was sold on this until I saw this one. This one, though, I absolutely love. And I'll show you a couple more. Sorry, this one fell on the floor. So this one is so pretty. It's, let me bring it right up close so you can see. Look at the detail on that. That is amazing. And here's what it, okay, so here's what it looks like on here. Sorry, I was trying to get my son's attention to turn down the volume on his iPad. There we go. So that looks lovely with the canvas. I would put the flower right in the center, but I thought I would show you some options if you wanted to try different trims, different styles of ribbon. And we're not going to be sewing, we're just going to be gluing. So actually, maybe I'll show you one more. This is another one of my favorite trims. So this one combines silver and gold. And the background of this ribbon, it actually looks like sort of like Dupioni silk. It's not, but it just looks that way. It's a bit too wide for this project, but I mean, you could always add it wherever you wanted to on this, right? You could even like put a combination of things if you wanted to, just mix and match your trims and come up with something really creative. But let me show you what we'll be doing today. Let's get started on that. Okay. So first you just want to remove your tag and make sure you cut that off. Don't pull, because you never ever want to snag your fabric that you're working with. Now I'm not going to be using the strap on this at all, so I'll just put that aside for my macrame stash. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off this strap, and just cut as close as you possibly can to the edge. Remember, these are just pouches for my linen cupboard, but if I were to make like a little purse, I would leave these on, obviously. Okay, and that's out of the way. So the next thing we're going to do is figure out the center point for our trim. So you want to check your trim when you're using sari trims, because sometimes there's like things like this right here where I think the stitching just kind of like doubles up a bit. It's not a big deal. You may not even notice it, but if you wanted to, you can just, you know, not use that piece, or like this little teardrop is kind of out of place. That's fine. I can pull that off and hot glue that back into place. But let's see if I can get a strip that is in pretty good shape. Yeah. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to go ahead and use my bunch of grapes as the center point, and I'm going to turn it upside down. And shift this over, because my, let's see, I want my teardrops kind of hanging off the end. Or wait, yeah, there we go. We actually want some grapes hanging off the end. There we go. Okay, so that's a good spot right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this. Once I glue the center point down. Sorry, I needed to catch my train of thought there. Okay, so we're just gonna add a little dot of glue first, just to secure this right in the center. Okay, and then what we're gonna start to do is work from the center across, adding glue in behind. So I'm just gonna hold on to this bunch of grapes here so I know where to stop adding glue.
YouTube. Do you know there's a YouTube app for kids? Yep, it's called YouTube Kids.
My kiddo is giving us an app tutorial in the background. That's awesome. Thanks, bud.
Choose an age.
Okay, so once that's glued down, we're gonna go the other way now. Of course, if you were gluing some trim that was just like rectangular shaped and just one piece of it, this would be much easier. That's okay. Just whatever you're working with, you take your time. And worst case scenario, you ruin this, you just pull it right off. Okay, so what I'm gonna do next, so this bunch of grapes, if you look at it, it almost has, see how it's like, sort of like a pyramid there? But then if I cover this up, there's like a sort of like 4 pieces, that's actually where I'm gonna trim. I'm gonna trim that edge off right there. And there's gonna be a little bit of overhang, but that's okay. You'll see in a second. And we're gonna neaten this up here. Okay, and add some glue. I'm not gonna fold it over, I'm just gonna leave it as is, just like that. Okay, so same thing now on the other side.
SVP Sports, Queen closed down. It looks like SVP.
Okay, so that's all done. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use this bit because, like, see, there's a double bunch of grapes there. That's a bit of a, I guess that's where the fabric sort of, the trim sort of ended and the machine started a new strip. So next what I'm going to do is turn this upside down. And then we're going to line up the bunch of grapes going this way. I'm going to pick that off. Let's see if it'll look good if I fix it. No, it doesn't. It pulled off the back. Okay, so we won't use that piece. Let's see if we can get a good strip. Okay, that works. Or does it? Maybe this one works a bit better there. And I just play around with these for a while until I find what I like, and this looks like it will work. So we'll go from there. Maybe we can move it a bit more. Okay. And same thing, we find our center point and just glue to hold that in place. Okay, and then we start gluing across. And same thing again, we're gonna trim off the excess. Sorry. Okay, so now we're gonna trim off the excess.
Don't play on next to 9 times 5 equals 9 times 5 equals.
What do you think, bud?
9 times 5 equals.
What's the answer? Okay, there we go. And then on this side,
What is your password? Type your password.
there you go. Okay. So there isn't much for me to glue here, maybe just a little, but we'll have a little extra overhang there, and that's fine. It's not quite centered, so I've got some extra overhang on the right side, but that's okay. Now next, what I'm gonna do is add my mother of pearl button right in the center. And what I've done is I've just run some crochet thread through these buttons and knotted them off so that I don't have to stitch them on. See, they're knotted in the back. And I'm just gluing right at the center of the bunch of grapes on top and bottom, and then right at the point where the two pieces of trim meet. And of course, if you're doing these projects and you like to measure, you can definitely do that. I've already completed the other 7 pouches. And I had a bit of an easier time with them. Sometimes if I'm a little rushed, I may like mismeasure here, but I usually eyeball for my projects and we're good to go. So let me show you how the other ones turned out. So there's one, there's our first or one of our pouches. And I think that turned out really beautiful. And I mean, again, if you wanted to leave it as a purse, you totally could, right? But I'm going to be using them, like I said, for toiletries and organization in my linen cupboard. So here's the entire stack of all 8. So for this one, this last one that I've done, this is pouch number 8. I've done 2 bunches of grapes in the center, but for some of them I did the raindrop as the center, and for the raindrop pouches with the center, I cut out some of this, I cut out a little bunch of grapes and added it here at the bottom, and then also on the back side as well. And I think that that's so beautiful. I might go back now and add the bunch of grapes on each one so that they all look the same, but here's what they look like. I'm so happy with these. I think they turned out so beautifully. I have one more step to do. I think I'm gonna experiment with that first, and if I am gonna add it, I'll add it to the end of the video. But there we go for now. So these are my little pouches for my linen cupboard for organization, and they're wonderful, they're great. I'm gonna be putting different things in these. And I really hope that you like this video. And if you do, please give it a thumbs up, share, like, subscribe. I would totally appreciate it and I would be so grateful. So actually before I go, why don't I show you how I cut out the bunch of grapes and added it here. So we have an option. We can cut out the bunch of grapes, or maybe on these ones we can cut out like the little 4 like that. That's on the ends here. Let's see what that looks like. So to cut out the grapes, you would just literally trim along the sides of this fabric here. And then to do the 4, let's see, you would cut off the rhinestone as well up top. And now you'll be able to see what I mean. And once you hot glue these, they're not going to fray. That's what I love about the glue gun for this project. So that's what it would look like with that versus a bunch of grapes. I think that's kind of cool. Okay, so we'll go with that. So I get really creative when I use these trims. Sometimes I'll even pull off, like, I've had some before where I didn't like the color rhinestone it came with, and I popped them off and put pearls or something instead. You can totally do that too. Okay. That's one. And I put it right under the trim. That's great. And then let's do it on the back side. And here's another thing that you can cut out too. On either side of the raindrops. That's a pattern that you can use too. So I think what I'll do is matching those. So since we did this on the front, I'll do that on the back as well. Okay, I don't want to take that off. Let's see if I have one that's already cut out that I can use. You can just touch it up with your glue gun. Let's see if it'll stick if I just poke that. There we go. And then trim off the extra.
YouTube kid.
Okay. Okay, and there you have it. There's the back side. And our front side. And let's take a look at the 2 different pouches. Same trim, just different center point. And I think they turned out beautifully. Okay, so one more step. I'm gonna go get that step prepped and come back and continue filming. Hey friends, so I'm sitting on the floor of my room, and right now what I'm doing is printing some labels for the back of our little toiletry cases. So this one says razors, and I know it's hard to read. I am using some frayed linen, that ribbon that I've used iron-on transfer paper with to make the labels, and here are some of the other ones. I have one more left. Now, truth be told, if someone were to go into my cupboard and try to read these, they'd have a really difficult time. So I don't know if I recommend using the linen ribbon, but basically what I'm doing is I have an old pillowcase that I use for when I'm doing these projects. I've got the linen down here, And here I have the last label. So I had to print everything in reverse, trim them down to size. I'm gonna flip it over, and I'm not gonna go right to the edge. I'll trim that after so I can fray the edge a little bit. And then I'm going to use my iron on the hottest setting with no steam, and I'm not going to be able to film it because I'm holding my phone in my hand right now, and you have to peel the transfer paper off immediately as soon as you take the iron off. Otherwise this paper will stick and you won't get it off. You'll ruin your piece. So I'm going to iron this down now. It only takes 20 seconds for this fabric, and it's such a small piece. It's not a full like t-shirt or something like that. T-shirt takes 3 minutes according to the instructions in this with this particular brand of transfer paper. So this size only takes 20 seconds. So I count to 20 and then immediately grab a corner and peel it off. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that and then show you the next step. Hey friends, so here's what the back side of our pouches look like. I added this little sort of cross flowery detail at the top, and then these are my linen ribbon labels. So they're a little bit tough to read. So I don't know that I would recommend this font. I absolutely loved it on screen and the way that it looked on paper, but if somebody were to go into my linen cupboard and try to kind of guess what this says, it would be difficult, to be honest. But I'm gonna leave it as is because I do like them. So I just glued the 4 corners of the ribbon to kind of make it look like it's sort of like a tag, if you will. And I like how it looks like kind of like rusticy. Now, most of them came out really well. Like this one says nail care, this one says razors, but I'll show you one that got botched and I'll show you what went wrong. Actually, before I do that, let me show you the bottom. So I added a little teardrop shaped rhinestone that matches some of the pattern here on the front, if you recall, of our pouch. So I just have some of the same shapes and so on throughout each of the pieces. So this is the one that got botched. So this one says face masks. You can see right here, there's like a sort of like, I don't know how to describe it, but I didn't peel off the transfer paper quickly enough, and so it started to dry and then stuck to the fabric itself. So I just left it because I don't have a printer at home, and I would have to use an entire sheet of transfer paper just to get one label. Normally I would do that, like if I had my printer at home I would just do it, but I left it for now. It's easy enough to remove. Like I would just pop off these 4 corners and it would come off pretty clean because I used glue gun to stick these on. So I just did 4 dots in each corner. This one as well, too much glue came out, so it's a little darker in the corner. I don't know if you can tell on camera. So this one I'm not overly thrilled with, but I can always redo it in the future. So normally I would have done that. I would have just taken it off, but I just want to show you what would happen if you left your paper on too long and didn't peel it off right when it was hot. It does like stick and then leave residue. I've done these before where it actually stuck and I couldn't get it off at all. The paper like literally adhered right to the fabric and it would not budge. So it's kind of like a mixture of paper, like the transfer paper, and some of like the plastically transfer film as well that's stuck there. So water isn't even going to take that off if I rub it with a damp cloth because it's like sort of like a plastic film. Now I could try running the iron over it and see what happens, but I don't want to burn the canvas. The canvas will turn brown. So I could have done that before I stuck it on, but I just wanted to show you what can potentially happen. But it's okay. It's not a huge deal. I'm okay with that. And so this is how everything turned out. This is the front side again, if you recall. And this one has a little cross, and then this one has a little bunch of grapes. So I did some with the bunch of grapes, some with the cross, and then each of them have the same sort of concept on the back, either cross or the grapes, little teardrop at the bottom. and that's about it. So now I'm going to fill my pouches with all my stuff from my toiletry cabinet, put them in the basket, and show you how everything turned out. Hey my friends, okay, so here is my basket that I've got set for my little toiletry cases, and they're ready to go into my linen cupboard. So all of these cases are basically just holding things that were in another basket, and it was just like a disaster. It was like a catch-all basket, and all of these things were in there, and to me it was just an eyesore. And so I decided to separate everything out, get these little cases, and just make them really beautiful. So I redid my entire linen cupboard, and the footage is on another device that I have to try to retrieve. The screen cracked on it, and so I'm having some difficulty transferring those things, but I'll see if I can retrieve that footage for you and show you what the linen cupboard looked like before, and then I can do an after as well. So I have another basket just like this in the linen cupboard, and these are going to go side by side. And this one, I just lined everything up, no particular order, except for I just made sure that I did cross, bunch of grapes, cross pattern, bunch of grapes. That really was the only thing, and I didn't even really have to do that. I just kind of did that because it's there, it's an option, it's cute, it's nice, and oh my gosh, I'm just loving these. So if we look at the back side now, so here we have all of our labels, and I'll show you what I've got in here. So I've got razors, nail care, face masks, Band-Aids, and I have tons of Band-Aids in various places around the house in little first aid kits, but these were just extras that I had in my linen cupboard. I typically don't buy a lot of items in bulk because it's just my son and I did that a while back with certain things, and they just ended up lasting forever and ever and ever. So rather than occupy extra space in my home, I've gotten really good at figuring out what I can buy in smaller quantities and what I can buy in larger quantities. So Band-Aids are something that we have like in other first aid kits, and these are kind of just like the leftovers. But this case holds a lot because Band-Aids aren't very big to begin with. Next, I've got toothbrushes, and these aren't the like stand-up toothbrushes. These are the extra replacement heads for my electric toothbrush. And then I've got first aid. And in here, again, this is not a first aid kit. These are items like polysporin, afterbite, just little tubes of things, and some alcohol wipes. I've got hair accessories. I don't have a lot of hair accessories. I use maybe 1 or 2 alligator clips rarely, and then I usually keep the black seamless hair elastics, and that's what's in here, my extras. And then I've got feminine hygiene, and for feminine hygiene I have another basket just like this one that'll be side by side with this, and it has like my sanitary napkins, and then this just has like smaller items that I don't need very much of, like liners and things like that. So that's about it, friends, for this project. To me, I would actually use these for like a wedding, like for gifts for bridesmaids. I mean, these are versatile. You can use them for anything. They would be really nice for Mother's Day gifts, a birthday gift. You can use any buttons, any trim. Lace would look beautiful on here. Absolutely anything. I showed you some options at the beginning. And of course it matches my decor. Like if you look in the background, I have silver pieces, roses, things of that nature. So as you watch my channel, you'll kind of see like what sort of my taste is like, and you'll start to see how these things sort of come together. The things I'm sharing with you are things I have around my home. They're not just things that I'm making for YouTube. And so these really do have a personal touch for me, and you can do anything that you like. You can do something that's exactly like this, or do something that is totally, you know, in your style, your taste, or even if you're doing it for a friend. So I hope this really inspired you, and if it did, friends, I ask you to please give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, if you would do so, I would totally appreciate that. And then of course, if you would share. But please do keep coming back. I'll be sharing unique and different projects just like this, and I hope that they do inspire you to try something that you've always wanted to. So I will see you in the next one. You have a wonderful and blessed day, my friends. Take good care. Bye.